Welcome back to Movie Idol. So in this video, I want to talk about Jon's ending, and I do want to talk about whether or not it was satisfying and if it made sense at all. So before we jump in, I do have to warn you for spoilers for the finale of Game of Thrones, and yeah, let's jump in. The first thing I will say is that Jon's ending, I think, was probably one of the more satisfying endings, I think, of all the characters. It's not exactly what I wanted from him, and there's certain things that I hate that the show left out, but overall, it was very satisfying because it's what the specific character wanted, right? It's very sad. I don't like what happened, but he is a man of duty. He always wanted to be a ranger, right? Like, this is a callback to season 1 when he wanted to be a ranger like his Uncle Benjen. The fact that he actually gets to be that now, I absolutely love. I honestly like that. And he belongs in the North, and he always felt like the North was his home. He's there with Ghost now. For Jon Snow, that makes a lot of sense. But for Aegon Targaryen, I do feel a little conflicted a little bit. I do think he was Ned Stark's son, no matter what. Like, obviously, like, legitimately, he's Rhaegar's son, but he was raised by Ned, right? Like, he's Ned Stark's son. And at the end of the day, he is still Jon Snow because they didn't legitimize him. He's just Jon Snow. He goes by Jon. He is still Bran, Sansa, and Arya's brother. And I figured they were going to go that route with it. I don't think they were going to actually legitimize him and make him Aegon Targaryen. That just goes against who Jon is. The issue I have with the Aegon Targaryen thing is that they sort of just ignored the fact that he is technically in line for the throne, right? Like, if they wanted to make everything peaceful and Grey Worm had this whole issue with Jon, they could have just brought up his lineage and been like, well, he is technically in line from the throne because the Mad King had it. That was supposed to go to Rhaegar, but Rhaegar died, and so it would go to his firstborn son or his oldest son, which was Jon, right? I hate that the council scene just sort of ignored that and didn't address that, because I feel like if someone said that, if Sansa and Arya said that to Tyrion and Grey Worm, I feel like Grey Worm might accept that because he would be like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. I hate what I have to do, but that makes sense. There would still be rioting in the streets, there would still be all of that, but I think there was a different way they could have wrote themselves out of that. But obviously, if they chose to do that, then that would make Jon the king, which obviously that goes against Jon's character, right? That's why I think they should have touched on this a little bit more, and I think they should have talked about why Jon doesn't want to be Aegon. It was very dissatisfying in that he never ever said, no, I'm not Aegon Targaryen. He just sort of accepted it, but he still went by Jon and just ignored everything for the rest of the series. Like, there was no clarification on that. I still don't know how he really feels about it. How does he feel that Rhaegar's his father, that he's actually a Targaryen? We barely got anything of him this season. I actually think that's a big complaint with Jon, is that he was essentially the side character. Like, he was overall a very important character in this overall story over the last 8 seasons, and he will be a legend for centuries to come. But I mean, his ending was very, first of all, it's very George R.R. Martin-y. That's why I don't think the writers, I think that's why I like this ending, is because they had nothing to do with it, really. It was a George R.R. Martin thing. But that's why I think D&D messed up Jon's Aegon Targaryen arc, because they just didn't know what to do with it, really. Like, they knew that he was going to be Aegon Targaryen, but how does he get from finding that out to the point where he ends up going, like, up north after he kills Dany? I feel like they just sort of ignored that. And again, it all comes down to this season, or the last 2 seasons, were just very, very rushed. Because realistically, think about it. Like, what else could they have done with Jon Snow's character? I didn't want him on the throne. As much as I did want him on the throne, I knew that there was going to be something else to it. It was never going to be so exact, like, he is on the throne, he is Aegon Targaryen, the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, because Jon Snow isn't that person. And for me to accept that he would be on the throne would mean that I would literally be okay with Jon being a different character than he was. I just wasn't okay with that. Overall, I'm okay with what they did. I really just wish that the Aegon Targaryen stuff mattered more. It just didn't. All the prophecy stuff didn't matter. I know George R. R. Martin has mentioned a lot, like, don't really believe into a lot of the prophecy things, but like, none of it overall really mattered, so I'm kind of annoyed with that. I like where Jon's story ended up. I like what happened for Jon Snow. Again, Aegon Targaryen could have been done better. But post your thoughts down below. Do you think Jon's ending was satisfying? Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.